Hello, today I want to talk about my flash drives and hard drive tool, software, whatever you want to call it, collection. Now, you're wondering, hey, why do you have so many flash drives? Well, I'll explain. Each one has its own purpose, and I use just about each one. So these are my dedicated bootable flash drives, and most of them are bootable. Not all of them, but most of them. Here we have a Windows 10 installer, very simple. I have the date written on there, the day that I installed that. I flashed. This is a Windows 11 installer. And of course, we use this as well all the time. Over here is a software called IC Password. It's used to actually, and you can see right there, I wrote that. It's used to actually crack, and this is 2 GB because it just takes out like less than 100 megabyte even. So I use a small flash drive for that. It works really well. It used for cracking passwords. Okay, those are on this side, the Windows ones at least. This is also Windows. This is my Windows recovery drive. So this is my own personal recovery drive for my Windows computer. You can use it on other computers as well, but it has specific recovery files that are used for drivers and stuff like that for my own personal PC, which I've never used, thank God, but I can, and I haven't. I created it. It was created through the control panel. I'd recommend everyone having one. This is Macrium Reflect, and Macrium Reflect is actually one of the most useful tools that I have. And I use this bootable flash drive all the time whenever I'm trying to restore a machine or trying to image a machine, or if I'm trying to flash, if I have a client that comes and wants to replace his hard drive to an SSD or a small SSD to a bigger SSD or an M.2 SSD, this can be used to easily create clones and copy things. A lot of times when I'm doing something that I might consider, risky behavior, and I want to image my computer to make sure that if it does get ruined, I could just re-image it. Then I'll create an image using Macrium Reflect. Obviously, I don't have to use the bootable disk, but it's always good to have one. If you want to image someone's computer really easily, you just boot into that, and that is a bootable drive. Macrium Reflect obviously is a software as well. This is Ubuntu Desktop, the live CD, and all these are live environments, obviously. But this is Ubuntu. I created this 2 years ago. However, I have updated it since then. I just didn't change the sticker. It is always good to have a version of Linux. You could choose Ubuntu, Linux, Mint, CentOS. All those are great for this type of thing, and I've used this so many times. Sometimes just to test computer, sometimes install Linux, and sometimes just to do some troubleshooting. And those are my dedicated flash drives. Those are relatively easy to make. This is where things get a little more complicated. You know what? I'm going to start with this one because this one's actually a lot simpler to explain. Okay, on this side I have all my empty flash drives, and you would be surprised how many times I use them. All the time. So those are my empty flash drives. Over here I have, this is not a live CD, however, it is portable apps. Portable apps is really good. This is 128 gigabyte from Micro Center. Extremely slow flash drive, actually. I'm not a fan of it at all. I do want to get new flash drives. So far, all the flash drives I've showed you, the PNY, these are great. They all work okay. They're not amazing, but they work okay. And these are SanDisk ones. They work just fine. These are the Cruiser Snaps. Everything was USB 2.0 until now. This is USB 3.0, but does not act like it. It goes so slow. So, wouldn't recommend it. However, it has all portable apps. Portable apps are amazing, and I have every single one on here. So, VLC, Google Chrome, WinZip, 7-Zip, every game that they have. I have Yummy on here. I think I have Ventoy on here. Basically, every single portable app is on here. Do research and get yourself some portable apps. Obviously, you could just put on any flash drive, but I have all of them. This is Windows. Windows on this flash drive. This is 128 gigabyte Samsung USB 3.0, well 3.1 Gen 2, and it is really fast. And I have Windows installed on here, and it's Windows to go. It's a special version of Windows that I could just plug in and boot from, and it will install the drivers and just run, which is awesome. And I have all my games on there. I have literally all the programs. I have that program that is called DOSBox, and I have a few other programs installed on that Windows, so that way I could just plug it into any computer and just have all my games ready to go. Another thing that I have installed on there is not VMware, VirtualBox, and it has old versions of Windows to run games that I have. And obviously the older games don't take up a lot of space, therefore 128 gigabyte is plenty of space. This is a double of something else that I have, but I use it all the time. It's called Ventoy, and it is a multi-boot flash drive. And it is the same as something in here, so I will just We'll get to that right now. Okay, here are my Multiboot flash drives. I have it in here, in this case that one, because I just wanted to have it more accessible. I opened that one a lot more. Oops, wrong. These are the Multiboot flash drives. Okay, here we go. So here is my Ventoy Multiboot flash drive. Okay, Ventoy, that's how it looks. It's awesome. What it does is basically you install Ventoy on here, 32 gigabytes. Actually, this is 64, and you could add whatever ISOs into the flash drive, and it'll boot from them. So I have Windows 10, 11, I have Windows 8, I have Windows 7, I have Windows XP, I have Ubuntu, I have CentOS, I have Hiren's Boot CD, I have Mega Boot CD, I have a lot of the Medicat stuff, I have MemTest on here, I have so many different things. I have DBAN, I try to put DBAN on here, but I have a bunch of different versions of Linux. I have Raspberry Pi OS on here. It's amazing. It basically has every ISO that I was able to fit. Now, Medicat USB is basically the same thing as Ventoy, except someone made it someone personalized it with tons of backgrounds and a lot more options, a lot more different, features and stuff like that, which is great. And I have that installed on this. Someone created this. I think the guy's name was Jay, and this is Medicat USB. This is the icon that he used. I just copied it and put it on there. So it's basically the same thing as Ventoy. Now on this side over here, this is probably my fanciest flash drive. I love it because it uses USB Type-C, and it has an adapter to USB 3.1. This is a super fast flash drive. It has a lot of portable apps on it, as you can see here, and it has Windows to go. Now this is Windows 10 to go. I want to make a Windows 11 to go soon, and I will make it soon. And it's just basic Windows, and it runs really smooth. You just plug it in, and you literally have your own Windows, your own setup. It's like having your own computer in someone else's computer, whenever you want on your person. Now over here, I have another multi-boot flash drive. It's kind of like Ventoy, but not as easy to use. Not as feature rich. However, if Ventoy doesn't work, it's nice to have an alternative. This is another alternative multi-boot flash drive. This is actually incredible. It has so many different options and so many different features. I don't even know how to use all of them. Like it has a self-install, and it has, the guy who created this is kind of a real genius. I've watched his YouTube videos. I don't fully understand everything on it, and I wish I did. But for the most part, it does the same thing as Yummy and Ventoy, so it's pretty cool. Now this is Kali Linux with persistence. It's basically a live CD of Kali Linux, but it also has persistence. So I basically installed all the different packages and everything that I could, because this is 32 gigabyte. It was able to handle basically everything, which was 15 gigabytes of packages. And basically that's all on here. So that's really nice, and that's all my flash drives. Let's get to the hard drives. I don't know where I bought this from, but it's awesome. I love it, and I will hopefully continue to use it. It basically has a ton of space for different drives. Let's start it up. Okay. It's always good to have internal drives with you. So what I have here is a very small, it was a very small internal drive that I put into this case. Don't ask why, but basically it has my own version of Ubuntu, and here's all the information. And basically, this basically has Ubuntu installed on it. Really good version of Ubuntu that I installed all of the different applications together with it. This is just a Windows 10 Pro install, no password, and it's just basically a hard drive. If I ever need to do troubleshooting, I can use that drive for troubleshooting. It can be used on a full desktop or a laptop, so that's wonderful. And over here, I have a Windows 10 home drive just for troubleshooting if I ever need to use it for clients or something like that. It's always just good to have those. Over here we have, and this is it's called Hiren's Boot CD, and basically it's a boot CD, and it has a lot of portable apps on it as well in a different part of it, so that's very good to just have on hand if I ever need to do troubleshooting. This is a great, it's like Ultimate Boot CD or a lot of those mini Windows environments. This is Xubuntu. It has installed on here. You can just boot directly from it, so it's great to just have a Linux system just easily bootable. Xubuntu is very lightweight, so very good to use. You could use a lot of different things, but Xubuntu was one I chose. I got this case on Amazon. It's really quite good for storage of hard drives, and it has two different zippers, two different compartments. And let's start with the less exciting compartment. In this compartment, what I have here is Ubuntu. It's basically just a lightweight operating system that I just use to troubleshoot, just to see if a desktop is working. I can use this. It's really great. Over here we have higher-end BootZD and portable apps on this drive. It's really good if I ever just need something that I could just use for the portable apps or for troubleshooting using higher-end BootZD. There's tons of great softwares on here, and I have used this a bunch in the past. These are two 2.5-inch disk drives that I could just use in people's computers in order to just test if the computer is going to boot up with Windows. I have Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Home. It's always good to have them just around so that way you can put it into desktops, for example, full desktops or laptops, just to see if computer is working. And if it is, perhaps they could even just hang on to these drives, and it's easy right here to go. Okay, this is a very interesting one. It's basically a drive. I think it's only 16 gigabyte, and I had an Intel SSD that wasn't working anymore, so I took the case and I put it over this drive over here because I really did like this drive. It was quick. It was an SSD. Obviously, it's not super quick. It's an older SSD, being only 16 gigabyte. However, I did install Ubuntu and I customized it myself. I installed a ton of packages, made the background how I like it, put all the apps that I use on the front page, and therefore very useful. If I ever need to diagnose SATA, I could always just plug it right in and it'll work right away. However, it did give me some issues because this is actually metal casing, so I need to put tape in between the metal and the metal. Otherwise, it was shorting out or something and just not working. So that is this pocket. Okay, this is much more exciting on this side at least. This side is quite boring. I just have two transfer hard drives. This is transfer hard drive number 1, and I do not buy the Seagate drives. What I do is I buy the enclosures and I put my own drives in. So that could be interesting. And then I have another lesser quality one to lend people when they need it. That way I don't have to lend them my good quality stuff. Now what I have over here is an Orico enclosure with a PNY drive inside. I'm a fan of this PNY drive. It's pretty fast. And what I do have right here is Windows. Windows is installed on here, Windows to go. And what this is basically the same thing as the other Windows flash drive that I had on that Samsung flash drive. However, it is faster and it has more space, and I use it a lot too. This is just the standard version of Windows. I do have a partition here that I could just store data on, and I also have MacVM installed on it if I ever need to make an image of a drive and just have it stored on there. That's great. Now what I have here is another Medicat, but this is on an SSD, an M.2 SSD, and I use this SSK enclosure for it. And you see it's Type C, and it has a Type C to Type C cable, and also has Type A, I guess, but using USB 3.0. And then over here I have another Ubuntu drive and an M.2 enclosure, and this is using USB Micro B, which is also USB 3.0. And that is what I have. And I'm going to give a few special mentions. First of all, I have a few more flash drives. These are all brand new, but they're cool, so therefore I have just held on to them and have not used them for anything yet, but maybe one day I will use them for something. This is a backup of my documents, and I just keep it in this little Case Logic case. I have a few more cases here, as you can see, just when I use more flash drives. These right here, these are drives from my wedding. This is the video, and this is the pictures, and they gave me flash drives, which is really nice. I always had them. I just keep them on these flash drives. I know I could just put it on the computer and add it to my collection. However, I wanted to have a special flash drive for these. I have one more solid state hard drive, and I keep it in here. This is actually the first solid state hard drive that I had, external at least, and it's basically just a Western Digital 240 gigabyte drive. It is quite fast actually. I'm not sure if it's NVMe or not, but it's a My Passport SSD, and I quite like it. It's very good for traveling. However, I just use this for data transfer, nothing else. So yeah, I do have a lot of drives, and all of them I feel like has a certain purpose, and hopefully I'm using them correctly. If anyone has any suggestions to make, I'd be happy to hear them. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.